All right, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to bring you this video here because some of y'all said you need a little bit of help with the vocabulary, and maybe it might help you if I explain some of these terms because some of y'all are off just a little bit on the vocab. So I'm going to keep this short and sweet um, to kind of help you along. If you don't want this help, then go look it up yourself. But again, it wouldn't hurt you to listen to it. I'm going to try to make this about 6-7 minutes long. De-Stalinization was the undoing of Joseph Stalin's policies in the USSR. Nikita Khrushchev wanted to be viewed as uh, basically someone who was going to bring some new ideas to Russia. And Stalin was starving people to death. By the end of his reign of terror, he was becoming paranoid and eliminating some of his closest the people to him. And Nikita Khrushchev wanted Russia to be viewed on the world stage as not this brutal dictatorship, but one that was open to negotiation, which brings us to the next word, détente. That means détente means the softening of relationships between countries, or the improvement of relationships between countries, and it's specifically referring to the United States and the USSR. Agent Orange was an herbicide developed it's actually developed in Great Britain, but it was used primarily by the United States during the Vietnam War and also in campaigns in Cambodia to eliminate vegetation on the trees in the jungles and also to attack the crops that the North Vietnamese were growing. Agent Orange is a powerful herbicide. And if you look at pictures of Saigon before the Vietnam War and after, it shocks you. It was almost 2 to 3 million acres worth of jungle just gone with the application of this Agent Orange. And the goal behind this was to eliminate hiding places where the Viet Cong and the North Vietnamese soldiers were hiding, fighting their guerrilla war. It caused massive environmental damage and genetic defects in the chip. Still, it's in the soil today. They can't get rid of it. And also the soldiers that were applying it to the jungle and to the crops, they brought it back home with them. It caused mental illness and all these genetic defects were carried over into the next generation. So Agent Orange, powerful herbicide, carcinogen, causes cancer, and that's Agent Orange. Containment policy. That was the United States policy to contain communism. They didn't want communism to spread, so they tried to contain it. They knew they couldn't eliminate it where it was at, but they tried to contain it. That's why they fought Korea. That's why they fought the Vietnam War. A proxy war is where two countries fight a war not in their own country, but in a different country. Can you think of some examples? Just got through saying the Korean War. Russia was fighting against the United States through the North Koreans. America, or the United States, was fighting against the Soviet Union through the South Koreans. So a proxy war is where two nations are fighting each other through a different nation. The SALT and ABM, that's strategic arms limit talks, and the ABM, basically these are talks between Russia and the United States to try to limit the amount of nuclear warheads they were making, and so the anti-ballistic missiles talks were also to eliminate the nuclear warhead, basically to even the amount, because they had created so many nuclear weapons that they could destroy the Earth 30 times over. CETO, that is in the Pacific Island nations, also the United States and France, the Philippines, were organized together against the spread of communism. CETO is an anti-communist group of nations. The Iron Curtain, that's what Winston Churchill referred to as the line between capitalism and communism. Winston Churchill coined that phrase in 1946 at the Westminster College in Fulton, Missouri. The Berlin Wall was constructed in Berlin to separate East and West. East was communist, West was capitalist and nationalist. We'll talk more about that later. NATO is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization that was set up by the big 3 or 4 that won World War II, and it's still in operation today. It's basically a place where all the nations can come together to try to work out their differences. The Warsaw Pact was the pact of communist countries in Eastern Europe, Czechoslovakia and Poland and Ukraine and all those bloc countries in the Balkans, and that were basically the Warsaw Pact was the satellite countries of the Soviet Union that were communist. The Truman Doctrine said that the United States would come help any country that was under communist aggression. He said that was the United States' job was to go protect those countries, and for the most part, following presidents tried to carry that out and to really no success. The United Nations is still an organization to this day where countries and nations meet with one another to try to come up with solutions, and also they have a military force that will intervene, and the only time they have ever intervened militarily wise is really in Korea before the war really broke out. McCarthyism is anti-communism. That's what that there was paranoia in this country, in the United States, in the 1950s, 60s, and even 70s that they thought that communists were up in the woods spying and tapping people's phones, and it really got to a level of fervor that people were afraid. They call it McCarthyism because of the Senator McCarthy who really started this panic across the United States, saying that there were communists everywhere. And if you ever watch the movie Good Night and Good Luck, that's what that's about. So there's your vocab. If you have any questions, let me know. That should get you through there, and you'll have to go through there and find the images. Just let me know if you need any help.